And that was probably the closest we've come to having a perfect shoot. As a kid, one of the things I did in a family full of architects and designers and whatnot, I was the photographer. I went to Lime Rock as a kid and took photos of cars going around the track. And as I got into my teenage years and almost into college, the cars that really stood out to me were Porsches, especially, back then, RS Spyder and RSRs, and really seeing like, holy crap, there are factory drivers that are paid full time to go race Porsches around the world. Like, that was one of the coolest things to really learn and understand, and seeing these cars on track, just the way they sounded and just the history, knowing and looking at the history of the 911 was really special. And it was always a brand that I always wanted to be associated with in some way, or at least own one of the cars. I still haven't owned a Porsche in my life, which is funny considering what I do now. But I was always into the element of capturing cars in the way they move, and capturing cars, not just the visuals, but the sounds of cars. And it really led into what I do now in terms of directing car films and car commercials, whatever you want to call them, online content for automotive. Growing up and watching, car videos, everything from Rendezvous up to, obviously there's Ronin and all those great films, but some of the greatest films I remember watching were stuff like on coast roads, right? Whether it be in South Africa with, like the old Mercedes ad, BMW ad, on Chapman Peak Drive in the Western Cape, or on the Pacific Coast Highway. It was always a dream to go film on these beautiful coastal roads, cliffs, sun setting in the distance, like just really beautiful. Those are the best places to film cars. Like, in the grand scheme of things, like, it's special. And, fortunately I was able to actually have one of those moments in my career just recently with the 919 Evo. The idea of like the top car, not just production car, the top car that Porsche's been able to produce, to create, and the idea of best performance, most advanced, it's the 919 Evo. A car that's won Le Mans, a car that's, really been able to showcase Porsche's vision for the future in terms of electric technology, hybrid technology with a combustion motor. Porsche's currently in a transition year in between prototype racing in WEC and racing in Formula E. Those people that worked on the 919 team, they weren't just going to go away and not do anything for a year. So Porsche has this transition time while they're getting ready for Formula E. A lot of those people that were working on the 919 program will go to Formula E, but they had to do something in this year. So they did this 919 tribute tour as part of the 70th anniversary of Porsche. So they brought the 919, different versions of the 919, to different parts of the world. Many months ago, I shot the 919 in New York, driving through Manhattan. That was a special moment. My hometown, driving, being able to film a car early in the morning on a Sunday, just driving on the streets of Manhattan with a police escort. Really cool shoot. Took 4 hours, had 4 hours to do the whole shoot. The 919 tribute tour has done everything from Paris to Bangkok to Shanghai, several different cities around the world to just showcase, Porsche technology in different cities and the city environment. Very much in line with Formula E, because Formula E is very much a city race kind of series. So the tribute tour started with New York and it ended with the 919 Evo on the Pacific Coast Highway, and I was able to direct both of those. I get a lot of flack from my team in terms of always, I'm a little bit more liberal. I like the idea of having loose scripts. I don't like to have it too structured. A lot of people don't like that, but at the end of the day, I think you get a better story when it's a little bit more authentic, especially in this day and age where everyone has a cell phone and you see a lot of authentic things. So I like to have my scripts a little loose, but I think when I started doing this, one of the first films that kind of showed what we were able to do and what we wanted to do and really kind of was a showcase of our talents was something we did in 2006, 2007 on the Pacific Coast Highway with Farah, of all people, for a show called Garage 419. We drove a 3 Series convertible at the Pacific Coast Highway. It was just shot nice, had great music, and back then when we were editing, it was basically 3 o'clock in the morning with beer and cheese and just pounding away at the keyboard until sunrise, and then you had an episode done. So there's always something somewhere special in my heart for shooting on the Pacific Coast Highway, and we just did something really special just a few weeks ago, where we actually, right after the Porsche Rennsport reunion, we took the 919 Evo and we brought it from the track and we shot a segment with it driving on the Pacific Coast Highway. Shutting down the Pacific Coast Highway with a team of 25 German engineers with their top prototype their best engineers in the entire company, and seeing their these German engineers smiling and taking photos at the idea of shooting on the Pacific Coast Highway, real special moment. And that was probably the closest we've come to having a perfect shoot. We were very, very prepared for that shoot. As far as even figuring out like telemetry for the 919 to make sure that it could function on the roads. Like, it was a massive operation, and we only could shut the road down for 2 minutes at a time.
Shrewd negotiation starts with finding the right car, and the best way to do that is with autotempest.com. Autotempest allows you to compare the results from Craigslist nationally with all the top listing sites. So visit autotempest.com today and see where your next dream car is hiding.